Right. Damian and Lola here, of course, with our daily dose of Damian. Today we are covering movement part one. As Lola walks right in front of the camera and sits, so don't mind her. Movement part one, right? So basically, today we're talking about moving and breathing and a little bit of mobility. But basically, I'm not going to touch too much on moving because it's said a good amount in the email. But I think that our goal is that we've been sitting a lot or we've been a standing desk or whatever it is. We want to just make sure that we think of the opposite position of what we're doing. We still do want to make sure we move around. So I definitely don't suggest being tied to the desk all day. It's like normal. I just definitely want to make sure that you get around. Even walking around the apartment for 5 minutes makes a big difference, right? So going to breathing, one of my favorite topics that we talk about often. Depending on what level you are, it's something that we talk about a lot, or depending on if you're kind of new to it, it's something that we just touch on briefly. No matter what, in this point in time, breathing is crucial, not just because of living, but obviously because of what's going on with our respiratory system, and having a weak respiratory and pulmonary system will lead to issues, especially going on with what's going on in the world right now. So, one of the most important things is making sure that you can breathe properly, which will not make sure that you do not get COPD or do not deal with any respiratory issues. In order to breathe properly, you want to make sure that you can breathe from the diaphragm. Now, a lot of you guys have always heard me talk about inhaling, exhaling, making sure you push your belly out, making sure you full exhale. A lot of that comes from making sure you can get the diaphragm going. Most of us, we're either mouth breathers, where we're like, or we inhaling in our mouth, we're still inhaling from our mouth, and we're exhaling from our mouth lightly, or we're chest breathing, where we take a good inhale, and our chest comes all the way up, and then we exhale, and we come down. From there, most of the time we're stuck in inhale, and our chest is a little bit elevated, and from there we're stuck in this position with our diaphragm a little bit flat. Our goal is to dome our diaphragm a little bit by exhaling, getting a full exhaling, allowing our ribcage to come down. Okay, so part of it is just making sure that we get expansion of the rib cage and expansion of our belly while also drawing in. So I gave a little bit of protocol in the email that I wrote, but one thing I want to think about is when you inhale, think you want to have your chest up a bit, not too high where you're extended, just enough where you're neutral. Get a good inhale from your nose. I like to have, let's say, my left hand on my chest, my right hand on my stomach. My hand on my chest is there to make sure that it doesn't move. If you inhale and you feel it moving, you know you're wrong. Hand on the bottom is there to make sure that I can feel my stomach pushing out with an inhale. So from here, I'm already in a crunch position a little bit. So I want to make sure that I sit nice and upright, right? So from here, I'm sitting upright. Get a good inhale. Push my stomach out. Good exhale. Draw it in. Now my breaths are very light because I have asthma and I have these issues. So right now I can't be taking a deep breath or it will cause dysfunction. So, but I want you to think in full time. It looks almost like this. Good inhale from the nose. 3, 2, 1. Good exhale from the mouth. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Inhale again. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 3, 2, 1. Hold. Inhale again. Exhale fully. 3, 2, 1. Now, by the time you get to your second and third breath, you should feel that your air starts expanding all around your ribs. You shouldn't feel necessarily that your belly, like your bottom of your stomach is pushing out. It's more your rib cage. That's what we call a 360 apical expansion, where you're able to basically expand your rib cage and you basically get air. That air is going to go all the way up to our brachial chains, aka our upper bodies up here, and it's going to allow any upper body issues where we have our neck, our back, any tightness there in our shoulders, that will be released because we're able to get air up there. Okay? Between that and when we got on and with our posterior mediastinum, we got a lot with the breathing there that's going to help. We're not going to get too into that, which I could, but that's where we'll leave it at that. Like I was saying in the email, if you feel like standing is too difficult, if you're standing and you feel your lower back, your hips, you can't breathe properly, it's too much to think about, we regress you. So what does that mean? You're sitting. So for me, sitting right here, it's easy for me to focus on my breathing, right? The moment I stand up, it makes it a lot more challenging. What can I do if this feels hard? I lay on my back. Lay on my back, same thing, hand on my chest, hand on my stomach. Same breathing concept. What if that feels hard, right? And we lay on our stomach. We lay on our stomach with our hands over our head, just laying there, breathing, inhaling, pushing against our stomach against our bed or the floor, exhaling, drawing in. What happens there is now we get more feedback, right? The feedback is what allows you to feel a little bit better if you know what we should be feeling. By the end of breathing, let's say on your stomach, you should understand what you have to do when you're standing a little bit more. So if you have a hard time breathing from the top, work your way down. That's what you want to think. Don't jump from one to the other. And also one key thing, don't take a big, massive breath. Where people go wrong is when they say, okay, get a good inhale, they'll go, and that right there will throw you into extension and already cause a little bit of pain. Okay, so our main job is to take a breath, but not enough. Going off of that, extension, overextension and flexion is always a problem. So we either want to be mindful if we're here too much, overly extended, where my back is kind of curved, my ribs are flared, or we're too much crunched here, where I have too much flexion and I'm in a overly curved posterior toe position. You want to be right in the middle. So your main goal is thinking we're not right here, we're not right here, right in the middle. So a little word on mobility. Now we did a little bit of our breathing stuff, making sure, okay, we're calm, we know what to do. What do we do if we feel any tightness or anything that we need to want to release or anything? What if we feel overall stiff? That's where foam rolling comes in. We call that myofascial release, but for now we'll call it foam rolling because that's what everyone is used to, right? I sent you guys a video that's linked in the email, basically going through my whole rolling out protocol, so I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to go over about 2 to 3 things that I find are most important. Now, I did say start with the lower body. I did say work your way up because that's the kinetic chain works, but depending on how you feel, you might want to cut right into the upper body, okay? Most of the time we have a lot of tightness, especially from our lower back, or upper back, anything here. So we want to make sure that we release that a little bit. Most people go a little bit too ham on the foam roller, so the key thing is making sure you're doing it just enough. So I'm going to use my foam roller here. I'm going to have it on my back, right? Most people have it in the lower back, which is a problem. They want thinking that's going to help release it. That's not. If anything, that's going to make it a little bit worse. So from here, we don't want to do in the lumbar. We're going to go right up to the beginning of the T-spine, which is right here. So we're not here, move this on up, we're right here, okay? Now, from here, for some people, this is already extreme enough because they really feel really tight. For some people, they'll stay right here, they already feel like they'll start shaking a bit. But your main goal is to make sure that when you're in this position, you're not, again, overly flexed, overly extended, just in the middle. If you feel okay here, we can put your hands behind your head. If not, keep your hands to the side. One thing I like to add to make sure to add the pelvis a little bit involved is we're going to add the block in between your legs here just to make sure that we don't adduct too much or we're not in too much external rotation. That also helps connect to our lower back. We're not going to get into that right now. So from here, we just keep this here. Think that we're just keeping a little bit of tension on the block, thinking where our eyes are looking up, neutral spine. Just getting good inhales again. Good exhales. 3, 2, 1. Again. 3, 2, 1. From here, you should feel some tension in your back. To make it a little bit harder, let's lift your hips up a little bit. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. From here, we work our way up a little bit. Again, we work our way a little higher up into the T-spine, right into the middle, going into the cervical. Same thing, everything flat. Eyes are up. We're not too crunched right in the middle here. Get a good breath. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Pop our hips up a little bit. 3, 2, 1. Good. Last one, we move up to the top a tiny bit. Bring up. 3, 2, 1, and then one more breath. Now, as you go up, you might feel more tension, and your goal is to make sure we're not really looking for pain, just want to make sure that you can breathe properly. I guarantee you, the better you can breathe here while pushing into the foam roll, you're going to feel release on your back. So don't go searching for pain, just focus on that positioning that you want to be in, and just focusing on breathing properly. You can get rid of the block also as well if you feel uncomfortable, but your main goal is just to make sure that everything's straight. From here, you can keep your hips up to increase it a little bit, or from here, you can bring your arms back to increase a little bit of the intensity a little bit more. Okay, and that's your T-spine. Our goal is to mobilize that T-spine to be able to open up a little bit of that mid-back to allow you to get a little bit of expansion here, which also release any tension in your back. T-spine is one of the most important things. That's what we foam roll out. Remember, not the lumbar, the T-spine. Next, we go into the adductors. The adductors is one of the most important things that we neglect. So we're going to do a little bit of our inner hips here. This is going to be a little bit challenging and be a little bit painful. Our adductors do connect to our pelvis in a very specific way that it can cause issues with our lower back and our psoas. So right, without knowing, our adductors can be a big issue. There's a reason why I always have the block in between your legs when we do a lot of stuff, when we do maybe hamstring holds, whatever, because that block allows you to use your adductors a little bit and you not overactivate them. What happens is that we also have to mobilize them. What does that mean? We have to roll them out a little bit. That means that sometimes they can get tight, so we need to open them up so that we don't have too much pain in our lower back. So, how do we do that? Let's say we're going face down. Let's say I'm going my right adductor, right? I'm going to make sure I'm not in an extended position. I'm right in neutral spine right here and not overly flexed, just right in the middle. I'm going to bring the foam roller right into the middle of my leg here, right in the top. From here, I'm going to keep this leg nice and bent, 90 degrees here where I can almost kick a little bit if I need to. From here, I'm just going to put some weight on here and just roll in and out. From here, I could already feel some tightness on my adductor. Find it, just breathe in and out a little bit. Remember, the key thing is not holding your breath. If you hold your breath, it's too extreme. You want to just be able to keep moving a little bit. From here, move around side to side, kick, and right here, I'm going to feel tightness in my inner hip. That's what we're looking for. We want to release that a little bit. You want to roll it out a bit, not too much, but just enough to be able to feel that release. That release right there will make you feel a million times better, especially if you do that connection with the lower back. So a lot of times we do roll out our back, we do roll out our hips, but we don't focus on our adductors. Our adductors are a missing piece of the puzzle. So that's two. Last thing I'm going to talk about is the external rotators, aka a lot of your glutes, your hip muscles. I'm not going to go too into which ones, but those external rotators that rotate your hips in and out and bring them in and out will get tight, especially if we're sitting cross-legged or like out here like this, or in a specific way, or if our structure tells us that those are going to be naturally used all the time. So how do we open them up a little bit? From here, sit on top, lean towards the side. You're on. Everyone goes wrong because they'll go to the other way. Lean towards the side you're trying to get on. So right now I'm on my right external rotator, so I'm facing this way, my bottom leg. From here, I'm facing here, keeping everything in proper posture. I bring that right leg up. So I'm rolling on my right external rotator and I'm bringing my right leg up. Boom, that helps open up my glute. From there, it helps open up that glute there and that hip, and from here I can get deeper into that piriformis and deeper into those external rotators. So right here, I'm able to get back and forth. So this is where a lot of that tightness will also be pulling on the back. So think in your head, 3 things you want to roll out no matter what. Your T-spine, your adductors, and your external rotators. Those 3 things will help out a lot, especially with any lower back issues or any hip tightness or anything from there. If you have any specific questions, let me know. Next video, we're going to be talking about more stretching techniques and exercise that we can add. So it's going to be almost just as long as this one, but it should help you give some ideas to what you can add to your repertoire. Hope you guys have a good day, and that's it for today.